I think from what I've read, struggles a little bit to say, I can't quite figure out how I bring this all together and work in the business and live in my faith, and how am I supposed to meet people and grow in my faith, and how do we do this? What's going to happen? And once again, it takes a true entrepreneur to decide, if it doesn't exist today, I've got to build it. So it gives me absolutely great pleasure to introduce Jennifer Baugh, the founder of YCP, to give us a little talk tonight.
Good evening. Thank you all so much for having me. This is really a dream come true to have two organizations that I love so much. Obviously, I have great love for YCP, that makes sense. But I also have great admiration for Legatus. It was so many of you Legatus members that were the original people to believe in the Young Catholic Professionals mission several years ago. And so without your encouragement and inspiration, I don't think I'd be here today. So it's certainly a joy. Your mission, your Legatus mission, is so important to study, live, and spread the Catholic faith. And thank you for spreading it with the next generation tonight through this incredible historical event. So really so grateful to be here. I want to thank the Besmers. Wow, what a family, my goodness. Thank you so much for your courage and for all you've done for this chapter. I want to thank the YCP Omaha team, who has put in countless hours to put on dynamic programming here in Omaha. They've done such an incredible job. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank especially the wonderful Tony Sorrentino and Rachel Toner, who really made this all possible. So thank you for your yes. So a little bit about me. As was mentioned, about 7 years ago, I was just graduating from my MBA. And I had about 8 months off in between this grad school and starting this intense consulting job. And I was going through a period in my life where I was really searching, trying to figure out my purpose in life. Growing up, I was definitely exposed to our Catholic faith, but I hadn't really pursued a prayer life on my own. So it became clear to me during this break, this time off, that this was the time God was giving me to get to know Him better. And as I read about our Catholic faith, I learned that the Christian experience is not passive, it's active. And it can't be experienced alone. It has to be lived in community. And at the same time in Dallas, I was meeting a lot of other peers, and I could just sense a general restlessness and the fact that we were all kind of searching for this greater purpose for our lives. So I was on fire in the faith at the time, and it was really important to me to keep this newfound faith once starting this job in Dallas. So I sought out other local young adult ministries looking for young adults to help me stay accountable. And so many of the groups, while they were very well-meaning, seemed to lack a certain vibrancy. And I knew there could be something more, a ministry that wasn't afraid of sharing the truth in a way that was challenging and inspiring. So several months later, I quit my job as a financial consultant in order to pursue God's call to work on this full-time and build this into a ministry that could last. And it has been an unbelievable journey. We now have 4 employees at the national office. As Ryan said, 16 chapters across the country. So thanks be to God. It's amazing to see what He can do. So tonight I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the trends in our faith, highlighting young people and some of the challenges young people are facing today. And then I'll talk a little bit about young Catholic professionals and how we engage this generation and some of our plans for the future. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we, as two generations that are very important in the life of our church, the Legatus members and young Catholic professionals, can work together to call many hearts to witness. So all of us know how much our popes believe in youth as a beacon of hope for our church, right? I mean, St. John Paul II, who founded World Youth Day, said that young people were the future of the world, the hope for the church. And then Pope Emeritus Benedict said that it would be a new generation of Catholics whose experience and convictions would have a decisive role in renewing the Church's presence in society. These are incredible words. They're inspiring words. But the reality of our present situation speaks to real room for improvement. Studies have shown that Catholics today, on average, are older than they used to be, than they were several years ago. And in fact, they're older than people of other denominations and those who do not practice any faith. The Catholic share of the United States population is declining, and this is happening while those who do not identify with any faith are on the rapid incline. And then studies also show that millennials are the least likely to attend Mass, with less than 17% of young people attending Mass on a weekly basis. So why does this matter? Well, some of the most important decisions of our lives are made in our 20s and 30s. We decide who we're going to marry, our career, our identity. Yet we're making these decisions without the support of our church to give us direction. So what is going on with these young people? What are they struggling with? Well, we've identified the top 3 challenges that we think young people are facing today. Number 1 is a lack of Catholic identity. So many young adults who call themselves Catholic do not know what it means to be Catholic, and they don't have the confidence to witness to their faith publicly. Number 2 is a sense of loneliness, a sense of isolation, a lack of community. So many young people are struggling with this, and in fact, studies show that loneliness is increasing among our generation. We can imagine why. There's a marriage breakdown, there's people living farther away from their families, and a huge reason is also probably the social media generation, right? Where it's this false sense of community that ultimately leaves us feeling empty. So young people are struggling with this. And then third is a lack of a sense of a purpose for their life, a lack of a sense of God's plan. But there's a message of hope for all of us here tonight, and that is that Young Catholic Professionals model works because it takes these top 3 challenges and confronts them head on, and they've become our threefold purpose. So we exist, number 1, to promote Catholic identity so that young people know what it means and they have the confidence to witness to their faith and be ambassadors for their faith in daily life. Number 2 is to provide a supportive community so that they have the friendship of their peers who are on the same journey, and then the mentorship of those who have gone before them to encourage them along the way. And then thirdly is to inspire a call to action, so that because of our faith and because of this community, we feel moved to change the world, oftentimes through the ordinary witness of our daily life. And it's amazing, it is working. And I have a couple of stories I'd like to share with you of some of our members of just really how fruitful and how simple it can be. So for Catholic identity, I'd like to tell you a story of one of our members named Julian Yang, who was a young neurosurgeon who came into our ministry. And if you can imagine, 33 years old, his whole life taught that he should not bring his faith into his work, into the medical sphere. And so he was very detached from his faith when he came to the YCP ministry. And it was actually a Legatus member, who was the speaker at the time, who so challenged him. He said he kind of went home and had almost like a crisis trying to figure it out, but ultimately had a conversion experience to the point where he said every single one of his coworkers knows he's Catholic, that he shares his faith with all of his patients, especially the end-of-life patients, and he shares with them the promise of eternal life. So it's just amazing to see Catholic identity and the power of witness. So thank you, Legatus members, for that. Another story that's really exciting is a young gentleman who is a marketing professional. And so he came into our ministry through a networking happy hour. We have these as sort of a stepping stone. He was invited by a friend, and he, again, fallen away Catholic. We all know them. But he was comfortable enough to come to a happy hour. It does work. And, you know, he slowly but surely started to come to more of our events and really kind of find something different here, something authentic. So he recently shared with us that it wasn't until he became part of YCP that he realized he was numb before. He used the word numb. He said he was literally going through the motions, but he was almost in depression, but wasn't able to see it until he saw something more. And through the friendships that he's made with YCP, he said, yes, of course, the spiritual side of it is so instrumental, but it's the friendships that I've made through YCP that I know I'll never leave the faith. So pretty amazing, the power of community. And then a last story for you on the call to action piece. Debbie is a special education teacher, and she said before YCP, she was lost, totally lacked direction, had no idea where to go to kind of find support, find the changes that she needed to make. And it was her mom who said, you've got to go to YCP, you got to love the moms. And she went like a good obedient daughter. And she said there was something different about this. It wasn't just a group where it was about socialization or socializing with your peers. It was a group that was looking to help form her and give her the tools that she needed. She said she talked about discernment with her peers, a concept she never thought of. She said she now turns off the radio on the way to Mass to spend time with Jesus. And she said, what's more, she said she knows that she can have open conversations, and she now has the courage to live her faith all day, every day, except for, all day, every day, not just when it's convenient. So pretty amazing stories to reinforce our threefold purpose. And so for some of you who are not as familiar with our organization, as Ryan said, we're 7 years old. It's unbelievable. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we reach young adults in their 20s and 30s. And we want to encourage them to grow in their faith, young adults in all stages of the faith journey. And so the goal is to inspire them to grow deeper and then empower them to be ambassadors for faith in their daily life. So some of our programs, we have an executive speaker series, which has been mentioned before. And I mean, it's so amazing to have a top-level CEO. We had the CEO of American Airlines several years ago, devout Catholic, actually quote Pope Benedict in his speech, saying that he challenged us to swim against the tide of secularism and said that humility was the most important virtue. I mean, it's unbelievable for these young people to see this, and what a great witness to the faith, and it's also an incredibly fun event. So we have executive speaker series monthly. We have panel discussions on virtues. We offer spiritual direction, executive mentorship, networking happy hours, as I said, which is a great stepping stone. And then we also offer job leads and professional development opportunities so that we can grow to be better professionals in addition to becoming better Catholics. And so it's just been tremendously exciting to see people really take advantage, and we've been able to confirm that it is effective, it's working. We have 16 chapters across the nation. We have endorsements from 22 bishops across the country. We have over 60 cities internationally that have reached out asking us to start a chapter. We actually had a young lady from Curacao saying that she thought we should launch a chapter in the Caribbean, and so we told her we'd come check it out. Exactly, yeah, we'll bring you on. But just unbelievable, and if we keep growing at this pace, we'll be reaching 25,000 young Catholics by the end of next year. So really, really exciting. And so what I think has just been such a joy in this year in particular is to see people take advantage of the national network. And so, I mean, it's a national family, a national community now, and we're seeing it left and right. One of our Dallas members was traveling to Phoenix for work, and she was able to go to the YCP Phoenix event. And then one of our members in Houston was looking for a job, and she actually got a job through YCP that sent her to Denver, and she's now the chapter president there for YCP Denver. And then a very recent example is one of our members in Dallas moved to Detroit to be back with his family. And he was so grateful. He's literally had such a kind of transformational experience through YCP that he wanted to bring YCP to Detroit. And he's the reason that we have a chapter there. We just launched last Tuesday, and there were 380 young people at the kickoff event on fire. I mean, incredible. There's just so much joy knowing that there are Catholics like us with values and our passions across the country. It's really, really special. And so what we're doing as a national office now is we're really trying to foster as many of these connections as we can. We want to kind of continue to be that conduit. So something we're really excited about is our member conference. It's our inaugural member conference this fall in Dallas. So we'll have all of our members from across the country coming in for a weekend, and the topic is especially exciting. So we're taking St. Francis de Sales' book, Introduction to the Devout Life, and we are studying this and learning from this from some of the best speakers out there. So Father John Bartunek is internationally renowned speaker, and he was actually a priest scholar on the set of the Passion movie. So he's going to be talking about prayer and the sacraments. And then we have some CEOs who are also going to be speaking with us, time for adoration and mass, also a beer garden with an incredible concert afterwards. So I really encourage all of you to sign up. Actually, all of you. We'd love for you Legatus members to be there as well. We do have some of our supporters coming, so we'd love to have you there. YCPconference.org, little plug. So a little bit about us at the national office. We exist really to preserve the integrity of this mission. So we provide training, best practices, legal infrastructure, website and database management, marketing materials to help support our chapters across the country. And so really by consolidating a lot of these best practices, we can really kind of create a vibrant movement across the country and really be much more effective. And I thought of an interesting example to share. I'm not sure, has anyone here heard of or seen the Founder movie that's out now? Yeah? So it's about Ray Kroc and the incredible expansion of McDonald's across the country. And there's a part in the movie where you see that some of the initial franchisees branch off and don't listen, and they start selling, burritos and chicken sandwiches at McDonald's when it was really just about an efficient, quick hamburger. And so, in a similar way, we exist to preserve the integrity of the Catholic faith. It's so important to us, as well as to make sure that our chapters are running efficiently based on what we're learning from our 7-year experience, as well as from all of the best practices that we learn along the way. So that's a little bit about our job. And so a really exciting future ahead of us. There's a sense that this is just the beginning. And so I'd love to tell you a little bit about what's next, but I thought first I would kind of tell you about how we've grown. So we've really grown in phases. So the first phase, journey back with me to 2010, the first 3 years we call the build phase. And we essentially created this organization from the ground up. We built the programs, we tested them, and essentially created this model that could then be scaled across the nation. So then the next phase, 2014 to about today, is the expansion phase, where we expanded rapidly from 1 chapter in Dallas to 16 in a matter of 3 years. So incredible growth. And today we really feel like we're poised kind of at the inflection point of the next phase. What we have is this huge group of young people across the nation who are looking to us to help them grow. And while our current programming is very, very effective in helping thousands of young people, we want to create a more formalized path for every single person that comes in through YCP so that there's a clear beginning and a clear end to their YCP formation. And as part of this, we want to create a capstone leadership development program. So basically, if you can imagine, This would be aimed at providing our church with an ongoing source of leaders. So there would be case studies, on-site visits, leadership development discussions, and basically at the end of it, we would pretty much have trained turnaround consultants for our church to help where our church needs it most. So if you could think of a pastor saying, Ryan has gone through this program, I recognize that and would love for Ryan to be on my pastoral council or finance council. We think that that could be a great value to our church, and we're excited about building that out. And the neat thing is by working on this, it'll force us to go back and revisit all of our programming to make sure that our members have the tools along the way to really graduate from this successfully and be leaders for their parishes and for their communities. And in that way, we really will be a bridge that our world so desperately needs today. So in closing, I would like to kind of call out the title of this, which is Calling Hearts to Witness. And I think it's so tremendous, like Ryan said, that we have these two great groups together. Legatus, you are ambassadors for Christ, and that's what we strive to be as well. And I think what makes our organization unique is that we really do believe that the witness of those who have gone before us is so essential to our ability to witness to the next generation. So that's why we interact very frequently with the executive speakers and the mentors and all of you. And so I thought what I would do is share a couple of suggestions as to how our generations can really support each other so that we can reach many more souls for Christ. So number one, Catholic identity. Let's use our threefold purpose. Something that you all can do as Legatus members is please share the faith with us young professionals. We are eager to learn from you. We are listening to you, and we challenge you to share the faith with us in its fullest. And I would say to you young professionals is share your faith, live your faith, because the previous generation needs your example and needs your light. I'll share a personal example. My brother, Alex, rock star, dreadlocks, tattoos, totally disengaged from the faith, and has had a recent conversion in the last, I would say, 6 months that is so unbelievable that he now goes to daily mass Monday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m., and he skateboards South Beach, Miami, Florida to mass every morning. Amazing. And they've asked him to read every single day because, of course, he's young and dynamic. And they find him to be so encouraging. They take him out for coffee afterwards, and they're just in disbelief, this young man coming to daily mass. But it shouldn't be that rare, should it? So, I just think it's wonderful that we can provide a light to those who have gone before us, and I know that that's very much appreciated, so that's my challenge there. Number two is about community. I think Legatus members, anything that you can do to help facilitate community is so necessary. Helping young people find friendships, even potentially spouses, it's difficult out there. Serving as mentors and showing that you really care and that you have concern. A lot of young people are away from their families, and so it really makes a difference when you invite them into your lives and invite them into your homes. And then for the young professionals here, I would say seek out mentors. Seek those people of faith that you want to emulate. And also, if you are feeling lonely or isolated, it's the time to really engage. It's the time to serve. Our church has many, many needs, and the best thing that we can do is think a little less of ourselves and serve, and that's the best way to find community. And then lastly is the call to action piece. So Legatus members, I would ask you to be more challenging in your request of us. Challenge us to a higher standard of virtue. The world is telling us that everything's fine, but no, we need leaders right now, and we need to rise to that challenge. So I ask you to give us a little bit more. And then young people, we need to accept this challenge. The church is counting on us. When Israel was at her lowest point in her history, God didn't call the honored ones. He called Jeremiah, a youth. And Jeremiah said, Lord, I'm just a young person. I can't do this. And God said, no, wherever I send you, you will go, and whatever I command you, you will speak. So God has great plans for us, and we need to rise to that challenge. So I think it is so wonderful that this event is happening. I'm very inspired by it. I thank you so much for the chance to be here and speak with you. And I just challenge all of us to embrace this great call. It's such a gift to be Catholic. So thank you so much. And I think we have time for some questions. Okay, let's do it. Yes.
How are you tied in with the Focus missionaries in the colleges?
So the question was, how are we connected to Focus, the missionaries and the colleges? And interesting you bring that up. Curtis Martin, the founder of Focus, has said that they do a great job of launching these kind of like invigorated, faithful college students into the world, but there's really not places for them to land right now. And so he wants us to work closely with him, and we're actually exploring a potential partnership. So we've been in discussion for, about a year or so, and we think that the great way to pilot this out might be to actually start a chapter together where Focus graduates would be the leaders of a YCP chapter, and then see what happens from there. But it makes absolute sense for us to work together.
That would be a great start.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Are there particular requirements for membership in YCP?
So the question was, do we have any requirements for membership? And I think the requirement is just that you're open and seeking, right? So our age group is 20s and 30s, and the reason we target that age group is because we're going through different things, right? I mean, we're struggling with different things with our work, with our bosses, etc. And so we want to really focus that message. But in terms of what type of professional, we have everything under the sun: teachers, lawyers, nurses, doctors, those who are looking for jobs, those who are entrepreneurs. So we really try to reach everyone. Our patron is St. Joseph the Worker, carpenter. So we're really trying to encourage anyone out there to be a witness to the faith in their daily life, and of course that includes the workplace. Yes?
I applaud you for what you're doing. Young people in the foundation of the church. And I have a young daughter who lives in New York City. You have a chapter there.
We'd love to launch in New York. This sounds great. Thank you. That's how we grow. Yes, Tyler.
Thanks for coming. What's been the biggest challenge you've faced in the 7 years of running this organization?
Wow. Okay, so the biggest challenge I've faced, I don't know if I'll be able to tell you the biggest, but I'll tell you maybe a big challenge. I think it's just persevering. That's a very countercultural thing we're doing, and not only is there resistance just from the world, but then oftentimes there's even internal within our church. Sometimes there's discouragement where it doesn't really need to happen. So I think just pushing forward and really keeping our eyes focused on God and His will for us, and not being too distracted by all of the different opinions and 2 cents and things along the way. Just staying true and staying humble. And not, it's such a balance, because we have to be forward thinking, but then we also have to live in the moment. We have to be prudent, but then we also have to be bold. So just really balancing all those requires a lot of time in prayer. So I think that's probably been it. But we're so blessed. It's been such a wonderful journey. Yes.
What kind of individuals you find are attracted to the Young Catholic Professionals organization? Are these individuals who may have fallen away from the church? Are these individuals who are trying to find themselves and that type of thing, looking for something bigger and that type of thing?
Absolutely. So the question is, who's attracted to YCP? And I think it's really attractive to almost anybody, to a lot of people, because we're seeking as young people, we're looking to grow, but there's a lack of leadership in our world. So I think to have a place where there's some grounding is very attractive. I forgot to mention a neat story from the airplane today. So I sat down, and there was a young man about my age right next to me, and he said, "What are you going to Omaha for?" So I figured, why not tell him? gonna go speak at a young Catholic professionals event just to see what happened. And he said, oh, I used to be Catholic. And I said, what do you now? And he said, well, not really anything. I'm searching, I guess. And I said, well, I mean, I'd love to invite you to this event. There's some really dynamic people. We hear from great speakers. It's an authentic community. And he asked for the website and said, thank you so much. I'll check that out. So I think people are searching right now. And I mean, we just have to have an avenue for them to connect in a way that's authentic and faith-based, because they'll find it some other way. So we really need to be out there. Yes?
So would you take somebody who isn't Catholic in with the hopes of maybe converting them into the Catholic faith someday?
Okay, so is it open to non-Catholics? And absolutely. I mean, we've had tons of non-Catholics come to our events and a couple conversions, actually. So definitely, I mean, we kind of present it. Obviously, we tailor our message to the person that we're trying to attract, but you know, any young person would want to hear from the CEO of American Airlines, so it's a great way to kind of pull them in, and then they have a priest who leads in a blessing and reflection before all events, talking about, you know, sort of teachings from the catechism, and so the seeds, you know, are planted. But we frame it as a dialogue. It's open. We're not trying to impose. We're very inviting, but at the same time, we know who we are. So I think that's the neat thing about it is non-Catholics do feel welcome, and they almost admire the fact that we have a sense of self. So it's great.
Great question.
Yeah.
There's another one back there.
Yes.
Looking back on starting this thing 7 years ago, what do you wish you knew back then that you learned along the way?
Okay, so the question, I guess you all heard that one. What do I wish I knew? I mean, I think, you know, early on, you know, I had no experience starting anything new. I mean, really, it was just so totally, obviously, the Holy Spirit inspired, totally out of character as well. I think that there were times where I just kind of took everything on as sort of like a battle, you know, and really in life you have to kind of pick your battles, and so not let everything weigh on you so much, and I think it was almost such a passion of mine that it was like a sense of almost like my worth, right? Because I was putting everything I had into this. And really what God is asking for me to do is also cultivate my own spiritual life so that it's, you know, that I'm not losing myself along the way. So I think in the early years that was kind of part of the struggle, but it was also such a great learning opportunity for me, and you know, great lesson in you know, the battles do pass, and you know, you just got to stick with it and persevere, and that's really kind of the great test, right? Is who can stick with something that they love, not just when it's easy. So.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank
for
you.
Inspiration. There are multiple phases within the Young Catholic Professionals when you set up a chapter,
Mm-hmm.
and we're entering into the paid membership phase,
Mm-hmm.
and there will eventually be a service component.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the successes and then maybe some of the setbacks from going to those two phases and what you've seen successful in both of those?
That's a great question. So what we did historically is we set up the chapters where they just kind of basically administered the core programs in year one. And the reason for that is we really wanted them to kind of learn the ropes and become confident and also network in the community so that they were establishing a base of executive mentors, etc. And while I think that was smart, in some ways you almost lose momentum because when we're doing as a national office this initial training, the chapter leaders are listening so attentively. That's the time we have them as a captive audience. And so what we're doing now, actually, going forward with our new chapters, is launching the full spectrum of programming at the beginning. And so we still have to test that out and see if that's successful as well. But we're always kind of analyzing. I mean, we kind of run like a for-profit in the sense that we really track what we do and analyze success. The teammates can talk about a dashboard that we have that pulls in all of the metrics from all of our chapters and then allows us to have very proactive conversations with them about their marketing, their attendance, retention, etc. So in terms of just successes with some of the member benefits, I mean, it's almost like a mentor pairing is almost priceless. you know, to have the guidance from someone who has been there and really wants to help you kind of navigate some of the challenges of being a young person. I mean, some of the mentor-mentee pairs are, they're just so successful, and I think the people are so grateful, so that's a huge benefit. Obviously, spiritual direction, helping us grow in our prayer life and in our ability to discern. My favorite member benefit are the panel discussions. So they're actually based on virtues, and we have time for kind of large group discussion on the virtue, and then we break it down into small groups, almost like these tables here, where it can be a much more intimate conversation and people really open up about humility, struggles with humility, etc. It's just amazing. So a lot of testimonials, a lot of joys, and I'm really excited to see in Omaha what happens, and I also trust that we'll be very innovative here too and share some things with the rest of the country. So thank you all so much. This was really fun.